So in the last couple of miles of the Manchester Marathon, I declared to myself very confidently, and I even did this as soon as I finished the race, that there was no way that I was ever going to run a marathon again. Ever, ever, ever. I was not in a good place. This week, I signed up for 2. This is PKS Runs. I'm going to tell you all about it. So welcome back to the channel. This is PKS Runs. I am Paul. If you stay tuned, you're going to find out what is next for PKS Runs and next for me. I started this channel back in February when, for some reason, I don't know why, I decided to run the Manchester Marathon. I do know why. I wanted to try and battle through my anxiety, my recently acquired fear of crowds and mass groups of people, and I wanted to push myself out of my comfort zone. I struggle with mental health, I struggle with depression and anxiety. This for me was really a way of trying to push myself out of my comfort zone. So before I tell you what's next, let's have a little bit of a look at the Manchester Marathon. I had planned originally to do a mile by mile breakdown of the race. I'd hoped to be able to show you a whole load of statistics and talk you through them. Honestly, I just don't have the time or the energy to do that. I don't have any data in front of me, but I'm just going to tell you the story, which I think is more interesting anyway. So, Manchester Marathon, wow, what an experience. I mean, I was nervous, incredibly apprehensive when I got to the start line. I don't think my videos quite capture it, but I was absolutely bricking it, But I seemed to manage to find a way to overcome my fear of the people and chatting to people. I'm incredibly shy. I do not find meeting new people easy at all. Taking the camera very much took me out of the background and into the foreground, because people were asking me regularly if I was going to keep the camera with me and, you know, what was I doing with it. I would just say, please do like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Genuinely, I am loving interacting with you guys through the comments, through Instagram, through messages. I really do enjoy these new friendships that are forging over a common interest in running. So here's a little bit of a race recap. Started out really well, actually. I followed the 3-hour pacer for probably about the first 4.5 miles. And my initial observation of that was that he was running about 10 seconds per mile faster than the 3-hour pace. So we were running around the low 640s per mile. And I'll say I actually felt really good. I actually kind of made the decision just to keep on going at that pace. So along the way, I was collecting energy gels from Laura and Bern and my daughters. What we did from a logistics point of view is I had my AirPods in and they were tracking me through WhatsApp so they could see exactly where I was on the course. And when I was about half a mile out, they were giving me a little phone call to say, right, this is where we are. Look out for us, we're on the right-hand side of the road. What is it you need? I think at mile 4 was about the 30-minute mark. I had an energy gel. I think I then saw the team again at mile 9. I took on a Lucasade, and having that support was so good. I came through the half marathon point feeling pretty confident, but I was certainly quite aware that I was going to have to slow down. I wasn't feeling quite 100%. There's a long straight where you're running out to Altrincham, and we were running into a headwind that whole way. That was a really tough segment. I think the crowds were amazing. I could sort of hear them over my music, but running into that headwind was really tough. I actually nestled in behind a very similar paced runner, and for as much as I could, I just tried to run in his draft, which really did work actually. That was a great move. So I don't know who you were, don't know what your number is, but thank you so much. The point at which the race got hard was somewhere between mile 18 and mile 19. Let me tell you what happened. I got a message from my friend Tom. I'd just gone through the mile 18 mark. The message read something like, you must be about 2 hours in now, reckon you must be on the 16-mile mark. No, I'm way ahead. You wait. I think as soon as that message had come through, I got the sound. If you've got a pair of AirPods, you know exactly what that sound is. Just for clarity, it's and at that point, my headphones died. To say that it was a pivotal moment in the race would be an understatement. All of a sudden, I felt incredibly alone. I had no idea when I was going to see Laura and Bun and the girls again. I had no way to communicate with them, and at this point in the race, I knew that I was going to need to keep taking my 30-minute energy gels. I had enough of those, so I knew that wasn't a problem. But what I really knew, and this was around mile 19, I think they had said that they would see me around mile 20, is that I was really going to need a Lucozade to replenish the electrolytes. My feedback to Manchester is, where the heck is the Lucozade or the Powerade? So at all the aid stations, they were giving out gels and water. The reason that people take on board electrolyte drinks is to replenish the sodium. So if you've got any danger of cramping or you're feeling that tiredness, it's just going to be exacerbated by more water. So what I really needed was a Lucozade. I had no way to tell the team, and I knew that stopping wasn't an option. I didn't want to stop, pick up the drink from them. So I basically had to spend the next 7 miles hoping that the guys would have preempted my need. And massive mistake on my part, because I didn't really say, look, I'm going to need another one of these. But I'd sent them out with several bottles, so I guess I'd probably maybe assumed that they would have done it. But the Lucozade never came. So I did see Laura and the gang again at some point, but honestly, I don't know. I think it might have been around mile 20 or mile 21. I can't remember where that was, but I can't remember if I said that I needed anything or not. But effectively, I wasn't able to get anything, and at that point, hey guys, hello, you okay? So at that point in the race, it became completely mental. And as I've said before, the mental battle isn't my strong point. I'll be honest. I was running and okay. Yeah. Okay, there's somebody in their garden and I don't want to film in front of them. I can't quite get over this, can I? Jeepers creepers. One day. Morning. So the point at which my headphones died was the point at which the race completely changed for me. It changed from feeling very comfortably physically, feeling very comfortable mentally, to feeling somewhat comfortable physically and incredibly uncomfortable mentally. It was an absolute slog to get through to the finish line in my under 3 hours from what was looking so good. I don't think it was hitting the wall. I've hit the wall on a training run before where I physically could not move. I was close to vomiting. I was completely dehydrated. This wasn't that. Really had to dig deep because I suddenly found myself feeling really alone. And that's a really valuable lesson to learn in terms of if I was to do this again, I'd need to be able to be self-supporting. But not having the isotonic drinks on the course just seemed ridiculous. I can't understand it. I cannot get my head around why they did not have that as an option. I think it was around mile 19 or mile 18 that my pace dropped. I'd been running pretty steady. There were a couple of hills in Old Tringham that, honestly, again, I was kind of expecting, but also kind of wasn't expecting. The marathon profile on the internet is flat, and I don't know, I suppose I sort of expected it to be like an airport runway. And when the cramps started to set in at about mile 22, it really was horrible. I was still maintaining a decent pace. I'd slowed down quite a bit. I was checking my watch continually and seeing that estimated completion time being eroded, which was ridiculously demoralizing. I found that so hard, having been at one point, you know, estimated finish of 2:52, suddenly going down 2:53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59. And I was cramping in my hamstring, and I knew that I had nothing in me to push any faster, because I knew that if I overextended, actually overcontracted my hamstring, actually to be more accurate, I knew that it was going to cramp up my calf. I think in mile 24, my right, so all down my right side, also started to mildly cramp. It was at that point that I really tried to engage the crowd and get them rooting for me, and engage some of the other runners around me to kind of, come on, we can do this, like, we're gonna finish this. And oh my word, well, we got to the finish line. I'll say another reflection. At the Manchester Marathon, you've got a couple of different options. One, you can do the marathon, 26.2 miles. Two, you can do a two-person relay where you swap over at halfway. Three, you can do a four-person relay. So, what this means is that in the last couple of miles, all of us who had been slogging our guts for 26.2 miles were being overtaken by fresh-looking runners who might have only been on their 6th mile and flying past. And I just can't tell you how demoralizing that is. It really is a kick in the chops. Note to self, never do a marathon that has a cheaters option. Just do a marathon, straight up marathon. One of the other reasons it made it really hard is, and I was able to view the footage of me coming over the finish line from their live stream, I effectively had to like zigzag between people. I wanted to do a sprint finish. I knew that I had a sprint finish in me, and I was zigzagging around like a ping pong ball trying to get to the finish line. Honestly, it was carnage. I couldn't understand how the heck are there so many people crossing this finish line in under 3 hours. I mean, it was absolutely baffling me. So at the point of the finishing line, I was absolutely spent. I picked up my medal. I burst into tears. One of the really sad things was, again, because I didn't have any contact with the team, I didn't get the final handover of the camera. I wanted to have the GoPro with me in those last couple of miles. What actually happened was, because the trains were so busy, the trams rather, they didn't get to the final stop, so they were going to try and see me at mile 24, and they couldn't get there. They missed me, and they didn't get to the finish line either, because the trams were so busy, and also because I was so fast. Let's go with that. I wanted to capture that moment so badly, and again, I was aware of that over the last few miles of like, I want the camera, I want to capture this, I want to, and I even shouted the last time I saw Laura, which was about mile 21, I was like, GoPro, GoPro, but she didn't have it. It was just this weird moment of, I'm exhausted, I'm drained, I want to share this with someone. I didn't have anyone to share it with at that moment. And it was at that point that I was just like, do you know what? And I'd been battling this the last few miles. I was like, there's no way, absolutely no way I'm doing this again. Absolutely no way. And this is what you've all been tuning in for. I had a Lucozade. I had a protein bar. All of a sudden, the elation hit me. I didn't sit down. I kept on walking so that try and keep the cramps away, elation hit me, and I started to move from a there's no way I can do this into I can do this. And so this week, with the benefit of hindsight and having had an opportunity to reflect on the whole experience, I have now signed up for 2 marathons, not 1. But let me tell you what I'm going to do. I've signed up for the Lisbon Marathon in October. The timing is extraordinary because I'm already in Lisbon for a work conference. And my intention is to do an incredibly different type of marathon. So the Lisbon Marathon is not going to be about pace or about time. It's going to be about fun and enjoyment. I do love running. And so I plan to be in a position where I can take the camera with me around the whole thing, capture the whole experience, enjoy it, stop off and chat to supporters, find people to chat to on the way. I put myself in for the pasta party the night before, so I'm just going to try and savour that whole experience. And the honest truth is, I don't have the emotional bandwidth or capacity to try and aim for another PB this year. Well, I say another PB, I've only done 1 marathon, so it is just my B? No, P? I don't know. Anyway, it's my best. I'm quite an obsessive compulsive personality, and it's not healthy for me or for my family if I kind of keep trying to chase that goal. However, and there is a big however, I have also applied for the London Marathon. I've put my name into the ballot. However, because I ran a time of 2:59, there is a separate ballot that I will get thrown into. And so there is a chance that I might get in on that ballot. And if I do, April next year, 2:59, I'm coming for you. I will do a good training block over the winter. I think I'm actually going to follow a plan. I'm going to buy a plan from Ben Parks. I might set my sights on 2:55, maybe 2:50. I want to have an ambitious goal, I really do. And I want to train in the way that's going to give me the confidence that I can get it. I think running London, if I could, would be amazing. Watch this space, people of London. PKS Runs might be there. And if I can, oh my goodness, it would be very, very exciting. The next few months for me are just going to be trying to rekindle my love of running. Just running for the fun of it, for the joy, for the pleasure, for the mental health benefits that it has. So I'm going to keep it really easy, try and do really high volume of miles just to really work on the aerobic system, do some strength and conditioning on the legs and a bit of upper body, and get myself in a position where really the October Marathon can just be really fun, a walk in the park, so to speak, and the April Marathon can give me the opportunity to run a PB if I get in. If I don't, I'll have to look at some other options. But this has been, it's been such a journey, honestly. I'm so, honestly, I am so proud that I got this marathon under my belt, and I have learned so much from it. I spent a good 30 minutes on the phone last week to Calvin, who I interviewed as part of my race video, who travelled over from South Africa. Spent a ton of time just hearing his story, and actually I'd love to get him back on the channel. He's got an incredible life story, and you know, I've got running to thank for that. I think I live a very isolated life at times, quite disconnected from community. I enjoy, you know, just being with my family, but this has pushed me out of that, and in honesty reminds me of the life that I used to have, where I was really outgoing and confident, and I wouldn't say the life and soul of the party, but I was a lot of fun, and mental health and depression got the better of me and has taken me into some really, really dark times. And you know, I want to get, I don't want to necessarily find that old version of Paul, but I want to start to work on this new version of Paul that loves life, that loves people, that loves just going out and doing fun, crazy stuff. And it feels like that's a good point to end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Please, as I've said before, please do like and subscribe. It really does make a lot of difference to me. I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I work full-time. I do this as a hobby, as a fun. As I said earlier, it's a way of keeping me accountable. It's a way of keeping me going, giving me a little bit of a creative outlet. So thank you so much for watching. This is PKS Runs. I'll see you in the next video.